I call to order the meeting of the mayor and council of the Borough of River Edge. January 22nd, 2024, a hybrid 7 p.m. meeting. We are meeting in the library due to construction of the Borough Hall, and residents can also attend through the Zoom link. Could I ask everyone to stand for a moment of silent reflection of all those who are homeless or are suffering from poverty that makes it hard for them to heat their homes or keep warm in the United States and in the world today. I ask you to turn and focus on our flag. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I ask statement of compliance with the Open Public Meeting. This meeting complies with the Open Public Meeting Act by notification on January 11, 2024 of this location, date, and time, and access information to the town news and to the record, and by posting of the same on the municipal bulletin board and the borough website, and filing notice of the same with the municipal clerk. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Cowson,
Here.
Council President Montesano Combs,
Here.
Councilwoman Kinsella,
Here.
Councilwoman Mallory,
Here.
Councilman Benson,
Here.
Councilman Glass,
Here.
Mayor Papaleo.
Here. Okay, we have only one item before we get to the awards for the Blackhawks, and we're glad that they're here with us today. Riverdale Blackhawks. We have approval of the minutes. Could I have a motion from any member of council to approve the minutes of the mayor and council regular and closed session meeting for December 11th, 2023?
So moved. Second.
If there's any a member of council that needs to abstain, please say so after we have an affirmation. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any abstentions? Okay. Could I have a motion and second from another member of council to approve the minutes of the mayor and council sine die and reorganization meeting of January 5th, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, we are done. So Councilwoman Kinsella is our recreation liaison, and she's going to join me. And we're going to start with the 10U boys, okay? So could I have all of the Riverdale Blackhawks, Division 10U, please come up and stand right over here with their coaches. Don't stand against the wall, let the adults stand against the wall, because you people are height appropriate and we need people who are height challenged. All right, so hey, guys, congratulations. So I'm Mayor Papaleo, this is Councilwoman Kinsella, and here we have the whole council as well as family and friends, both here and online. So I'm going to read into the record the certificate, and then I'm going to read your name. I'm going to give it to Councilwoman Kinsella, and she's going to give it to you, okay? All right, so the mayor and council of the Borough of River Edge are proud to present this to, we're going to leave that blank for now, in recognition of the Riverdale Blackhawks for winning their fall 2023 Division 10U Boys Northeast Region U.S. Soccer Club. So this is a great achievement. And when we give out the certificates, I'm then going to ask coaches for some comments, okay? And if the coaches don't want to do that, they don't have to. Logan Theodorakis. Theodorakis, what a great name. Very good. Theodorakis.
He is not here.
Okay. Jack Sullivan. Jack. Little round of applause is good. Blake Raga. Did I get? Rob Snyder. Okay. Anthony Rita. That's okay. Matthew Nutland. All right. Ruth Lamarca. That's all right. Alexander Khan. All right. Thomas Gandalf. Oh. Right here. Liam Grimes. All right. Henry Lombard. And Peter Woods. That's all right. Congratulations, guys. Coaches, you want to say something about how the team worked this season and this win?
Sure, these boys went.
You just might want to introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Chris Sullivan. I'm
And,
one of the
Mark
coaches.
Strasser.
good,
These boys went undefeated in the fall.
wow,
With 8-0-2,
wow.
and they scored about 35 more goals than they let in. So, quite an achievement, but they always gave their best effort, and they're a fun group of boys. They're always having a good time, always have a smile on their face, and they made the season great, and they're going to be trying to move up and play again in the spring. And this is their last year in 7-on-7, which is the smallest field, and next year they'll be moving to 99, so the big field. So
Nice.
hopefully they do well. Either way.
We're very proud of them. Anybody would like to take a picture may come forward at this time. Congratulations. It's up to you.
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's slide in here. Tell
Yeah, yeah.
Can sell? On the other side.
Great.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, could I have the coaches and the members of 12U boys, Flight Division 12U boys. And we're gonna be right over here, not on the wall, leave the coaches for the back. Yeah, there you go. Okay, all right, now. I'm only so with names to awful with names, so they all know. So if I mispronounce your last name, do not feel that you have to stand there silently, just politely correct me, say, oh, it's this. And that wouldn't bother me at all, okay? Because I want to make sure that you get celebrated. And if I mispronounce your first name, the same thing, okay? Okay, Ruham Tom, oh, sorry, I apologize. So, a certificate of recognition, the mayor and council of the borough of River Edge are proud to present this certificate to, and we'll say your names in a moment, in recognition of the Riverdale Blackhawks for winning their fall 2023 Flight Division 12U Boys Northeast Region US Soccer Club. So round of applause for that. So Ruhan Tem Lavakar,
He's not.
all right. Oh, yeah. William Snyder.
Billy.
John Privitera. Privitera. Amon Popsichel. How close was I? I'm sorry. You can really pronounce it. Matthew Petrocelli. All right. Dovik Mati Linsky. There you go. What do you say? Jaden Christopher Ordalitza. Timothy Moran. Janesse, no, help me.
Pete Kelly.
Yanni.
Yanni.
Yanni, quickly. Yanni, I'm so sorry. Very nice. Nathan Kim. Michael Gozenput. Nathaniel Ferrer.
No, not here.
Matthew Famer.
Also.
Famer. Jack Eisler. Peter Oritza. No. All right. Dylan Crow. Brandon Bone. All right, now, coach, you have to move over to be in view of the camera.
Gotcha.
So, and let's make sure all the boys are. Guys, just shuffle a little bit this way. Squeeze a little bit that way. Okay, great. So coaches, talk to us about the season and the success. First of all, introduce all three of you. Introduce yourselves.
I'm Chuck Privatera.
Elton Cuthbert.
Nate Modelinsky.
Okay,
So our boys went undefeated. They played together as a team. Everybody contributed. We had no yellow cards, no red cards,
wow.
no shenanigans. We're so proud of these boys. They scored 36 goals. They let in about a dozen. We're promoted to E-Fight for the spring, and we're looking forward to another successful season.
All right, family, you guys come up. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, 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 congratulations. Congratulations, congratulations, did I get you? Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. Councilwoman? Yeah, please, come with us. Councilwoman, oh no, this is none that I get.
Just take the camera to look at.
Yeah.
Look at that, all of them.
And well, John, I didn't say it for the U, 10U, but I certainly want to say it for the 12U and the 15U, I think is next. This is as much an achievement for mom and dad as it is for the players, because you guys gotta get them to the practices, you gotta get them to the games. So congratulations, thank you very, very much. Could I have the 15U come up? So, flight division 15U boys. All right, and the coaches, please.
I will be representing the coaches today.
Good, good. This is former Councilman Gaudier. We are very glad. Okay, guys, move over a little bit. See the camera, a little bit more. Okay. Check. A little bit more. Okay, there we go. Okay, there's a whole lot of names. I'm gonna need a lot of help, okay? Okay, so, certificate of recognition. The mayor and council of the Borough of River Edge are proud to present this certificate, and we'll say the names and recognition of the Riverdale Blackhawks for winning the fall 2023 Division U 15U Boys Northeast Region US Club Soccer. Okay, so Phoenix U. Jake Van Wettering. Did I get that one? Sebastian Snyder. Okay. Luca Stelzio. Okay. Anthony Ruiz,
Somewhere Curcio.
what she said. Yeah. Okay. Ryan Pinto Spiegel. All right. Nathaniel Altmans.
Young Oak.
Young Mo. Ethan Miller. Colin McKinley. Ryan McKinley. Douglas Kidlon. David Cordier. Logan Thoreau. Matthew Brooks. Quinn Brennan.
Giancarlo Boxa.
Giancarlo Bosca. Kevin Barnes. All right. Coach.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an extremely resilient group of boys. They've battled all season, through injuries,
Oh, wow.
through, through having to play a flight up. They actually played in the U15 league, even though the vast majority of the team is 13 years old.
Wow,
And
congratulations,
they were
guys.
still able to win their flight. They practice extremely hard. They go out there and play their hardest from the beginning to the end of each game.
Mhm.
And I have to say something about the coaches. They have put countless hours.
Can you name the coaches for us?
Uh,
I put you on the spot, I'm sorry. I take that back.
Coach Louise, Coach Brennan, Coach Brooks, they have all spent countless hours with this team, not only this season, but for years and years. And that's why the team has developed into the team they have become.
Wow,
Great,
congratulations.
great group of young men.
All right, right. Anybody like to? Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. And we'll just, you guys just kind of like form 2 rows instead of 1 and move forward. And you're up here, good. Out there, great, and we'll just slide in over here. And here we go. Great.
you.
Again, thank you. So much. And guys, don't forget to thank all those people who drove you to the practices and to the games and everything else. And sat in the cold and watched, or sat in the warmth and watched, whatever it might be in the sun. So those people made your success possible, so don't forget to thank them. Now, we have a lot of really dull stuff ahead of us. Which is important to make sure that the town runs right. You don't need to stay. But if you'd like to do that, instead of going home and, doing your homework or watching TV or whatever it might be, you are welcome to stay. But if not, you are welcome to go. All right, thank you, everybody. So for the public's benefit, what we're doing is simply giving them an opportunity to exit, and then we will continue. And our first order of business, once they're gone, will be a presentation by Dynamic Traffic. Their findings overview about traffic and safety for what may or may not be the road reconfiguration. We'll speak to that in a moment. John, are you there?
I had that meeting at the seminar.
John, how do I sound with the background noise? Is it difficult?
I can still hear you, yep. And
Okay,
that's gonna be
great.
hard to follow, Mayor, I gotta tell you.
Did amazing.
Say that again?
I said, that's gonna be hard to follow, the soccer presentation.
No, what I meant is.
No, what your report is very important.
Yeah.
John McCormick is our traffic and safety expert. And John, what firm are you with?
I'm with Dynamic Traffic.
Okay, and we tasked them with looking at what was then the board's decision to reconfigure. Now, we do know that on, I think, January 17th, the Board of Education has decided to postpone, at least, maybe perhaps cancel, but at least postpone their, so they have rescinded their decision to reconfigure. And I believe, I heard from the interim superintendent that there's going to be a whole more of a study, I believe, and more of there will be some public interaction. And so they're going to look at a little bit more depth. She I think wants to look at a couple more questions and then see where this is going to go. But whether this reconfiguration occurs or not, it's important for us to consider the safety of our young people. And many, if not all, of the recommendations that Mr. McCormick from Dynamic Traffic is going to present are worthy for us to implement. So for the public and for the those still present in the building, I'm going to turn this over to John McCormick, who is, again, our traffic and safety expert. John, if you could begin with your credentials.
Absolutely, thank you, Mayor, thank you, Council. It's good to be here. Thank you for allowing me to be on Zoom, I appreciate that. Again, John McCormick with Dynamic Traffic. I'm a partner in the firm. I've been practicing traffic engineering for 30 years. I hate to say that number, but it's true. I have a New Jersey professional engineer's license, I also have a professional traffic operations engineering certificate. So needless to say, I've been doing this for a long time. We focus on all aspects of traffic safety, pedestrian safety, design of roadway improvements, et cetera, at our firm. Mayor, with that, I can just go into my discussion.
Would you please?
Okay. So, thank you for the intro on how we got here. Basically, we were tasked with providing an independent review of the various reports that were written regarding the traffic aspects of the reconfiguration. So the evaluations, findings, and recommendations, I'll give you a very high-level summary tonight. This is not going to be an hour-long presentation. It's going to just hit the highlights of our report. Basically, these recommendations were derived from a combination of examination of the schools. I personally was out at the schools. We've observed the morning and afternoon activity, all the pickup activity, the parent activity, the pedestrian activity, etc. And we reviewed all the reports, both the reports prepared by Klein Consulting, which was the consulting firm hired by the school board, as well as the reports prepared by your chief of police and your police department. So just generally, we made observations in September, October, and November of last year. That's when we were brought on board. And we took a look at probably 5 or 6 or 7 reports. The police report dating all the way back to February of 23. Klein's reports from the summer, from May and June. And then there was some back and forth correspondence between the police and Mr. Klein about, comments and critiques of the report. Just a very basic project understanding is that the school reconfiguration is going to result in changes to both Cherry Hill School and Roosevelt School. Okay, now the Klein report gave us some student numbers that we'll just use those for now, although they're old, right? But we'll use those for now because I don't think they're going to change that much. So while the number of students in each school is relatively going to stay the same, the ages of the students and the drop-off and pickup activity characteristics of the students are going to differ dramatically. The Cherry Hill School currently has about 660 students in the pre-K through 6. The reconfiguration they thought at the time would result in about 644, so about the same number. But those students would be pre-K through 3. And there'd be about 140 families or so they projected that would be switching from Roosevelt to Cherry Hill because of the reconfiguration. The Roosevelt School at the time had about 480 students in kindergarten through 6. The reconfiguration was going to result in about 500 students, but in grades 4 through 6. So about 150 families or so they thought would be switching from Cherry Hill to Roosevelt. And I think the report said there was about 100 or so families that have children in both schools. So basically, the arrival and dismissal operations at a school are only as good as the group effort that's put forth. I say this when I start every presentation about schools. It's only as good as the parents, the staff, and the police department and the town's effort in putting forth to make this safe and efficient. And I could say it is clearly evident that all parties involved in River Edge have the student safety in mind. It is obvious from the minute I stepped on into the borough and onto one of the school properties. Just the number of police officers, crossing guards, school staff, those numbers are tremendous. And it confirms that the students are a top priority. So I just want to say that up front.
Thank you.
The just get into quickly the summary. I'll go through first Cherry Hill School. I'll then get into Roosevelt School, and we'll talk about just some of the public streets in between and some of the findings that we can have. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I apologize. My colleague John Pesh is on as my other sign-in. I'm wondering if you can see the screen share that he put up.
Yes, we can. And welcome, John. Who's your colleague?
John Pesh. He's my one of my junior engineers that helped me with the project.
Welcome, John Pesh.
Okay, so we'll start, I don't know how clear this is or how big this is on your screen, but.
So what we
essentially-
have is a portrait style screen.
Mhm.
It's very big. It's an aerial shot, a downward aerial shot, and it is very, very clear.
Okay, excellent. That means the aerial service we pay for is working well. This is, this is an aerial of the Cherry Hill School. The reason it's portrait like it is because I wanted, north to be up on the page.
Okay.
Just so that when we get to Roosevelt School, north will be up on the page. And it just flows a little bit better when that's the case. So simply stated, my evaluation concluded that the reconfiguration could have a significant impact on the traffic conditions at Cherry Hill School. So what's happening, remember, is we're increasing the number of younger students. The younger students require more attention during their drop-off and pickup. And quite honestly, the drop-off and pickup activity that we find, these parents want to be within eye shot of the school. So it's harder to use areas further from the school and think that the younger students are going to be able to be dropped off or picked up in those further away locations. So what you're going to see if there's the focus of the recommendations for Cherry Hill School is going to be towards adding more space. How are we going to add space? But add space closer to the school and maximize the space that's close to the school. So let me just go quickly through the couple of recommendations here. I have the recommendations broken down into what I'll call a school district jurisdiction. These are like construction and things that would happen on school property, or plans and policy changes that could be implemented. And then that's the first part. And then the other part would be like a borough jurisdiction, meaning these are improvements that we suggest that are happening within the right of way, meaning within the street and along the street in the front and in and around the school. So we'll start.
John, I want to
Yeah.
stop you there just for a second for the public's benefit. John created this new format at the request of a small subcommittee. We did not ask him to change anything in the report. To my knowledge, he hasn't changed anything in the report. We just wanted the format changed because we don't have any jurisdiction over the BOE or their properties or their personnel or their policies. And so these recommendations that John's making, Mr. McCormick for dynamic traffic, is meant, is broken into two things that the borough can do and things that would be recommended by our traffic and safety expert for the BOE for their consideration, but they are under no obligation to do it. But we're going to try to implement each of his recommendations if we can, financially and calendar wise, as soon as possible. So that's the reason they're split into two groups, because we don't want the public to be confused with what is our jurisdiction versus what is the other co-equal municipal bodies jurisdiction. Mr. McCormick, did I phrase that well, or did you want to clarify that at all?
I think that was stated perfectly. In these types of reports, there's always a discussion on whose jurisdiction it is so that you can plan these improvements moving forward. I think that was well said. So with that, shall I? Okay, so we'll start with the school district. Basically, as I said, these are things that we think could happen on the school property and or, policy and plan type changes that they can affect. And these are in somewhat of an order, but I don't want you to get crazy about the order that they're in. The first is that the staff parking should be increased. Okay, we have a very small staff parking lot at Cherry Hill School. I think the staff parking lot needs to be at least doubled in order to be effective in managing staff parking needs. And the reason I say that is that what we find is there are staff parking on all the streets surrounding the school. There is probably on any given day between 30 and 40, maybe 30 and 50 staff that are parked on the street. Now, they can park on the street, but what they're doing is they're occupying the desirable spots, particularly for the afternoon pickup activity. So what we're trying to do with this recommendation is to increase staff parking on property so that those staff members can bring their cars into the school, which then frees up the curb space and the sidewalk space for parents, primarily for after school. If we can add additional parking or additional areas within the school, there could be an opportunity to add another pickup or drop-off location. The way I say that is if you look at the parking lot right now on the Cherry Hill School, it's just to the north of the building. It's a single aisle. So anyone that comes in has to U-turn, thank you, John, has to U-turn and get out. So that is not a parking lot that could be utilized for a drop-off situation. If the parking lot could be changed or if something else could be worked out, and we could find a way to have a flow through and have a drop-off activity at the school, that would be something that's beneficial. So by increasing the staff parking, I think there's a couple opportunities there, not only to move the staff onto the property so the parents have access to the sidewalk and the street frontage, but also maybe there could be a drop-off location created. The second one is to stagger the start times of the school. It sounds obvious, especially when we have pre-K in a building. The pre-K can start staggered from the rest of the school. The reason I'm talking about staggering school is because we need to make the best use of the property that we have. The back of the school, I'll call it the Green Avenue Loop. John, if you could just highlight that, thank you. That is used primarily right now by the youngest students, by the pre-K and K. We think that is an absolute terrific asset that this school has. We need to maximize the use of that drop-off loop. So low-hanging fruit is that the pre-K is staggered outside of the time frame of the kindergarten. That would be one staggering. Another staggering could be the kindergarten could be staggered into two different classes so that all the kindergartners can use the Green Avenue Loop, all the pre-K students can use the Green Avenue Loop. But to be honest, with the numbers we're talking now, I don't think those numbers can happen in that loop if the classes are not staggered. So that staggering allows the maximizing of Green Avenue Loop, where the parents are most comfortable, the parent vehicles are closest to the building and the door, and it just makes everyone, as I said, more comfortable using that setup. Another type of staggering as far as time is to incentivize the early arrivals. I know that this already happened this year to some degree, where the doors were opened up a bit earlier to try to incentivize parents to arrive early for drop off. Those kind of things need to just be continued. However we can incentivize early arrivals would greatly benefit everybody involved. What we noticed was, albeit the doors were open probably for, I think it was a half an hour before the first bell, predominantly the activity still occurred within the 10 minutes, just prior to school starting. So I think if the school can put some focus into incentivizing early arrivals, that would help themselves and it would help the arrival activity out front of the school. And then the staggering of the start and dismissal times of the two schools, of Cherry Hill School and Roosevelt School. It's very, its potential is you're going to have kids in two schools. One family would have children in both schools. So we need to stagger those schools to allow that back and forth to happen. And again, the staggering could help with the staggering of the pre-K and the kindergarten. Those types of early morning staggers could be worked out so that it all works together, and it helps us in softening up the impact of the drop-off activity. Now we'll get into what I'll call the borough jurisdiction recommendations, which I said before, they're either constructed, on the borough roads, or they're operational changes, maybe for the crossing guards, etc. So this first recommendation is really a transition between the two. And I mentioned earlier, we need to maximize the usability of Green Avenue Loop. Green Avenue Loop is connected to Wayne Avenue. John, if you can just highlight, yeah, Wayne Avenue runs left to right on this map. Again, the Green Avenue Loop is a great asset, so we need to keep it efficient. We need to use it for multiple grades as much as we possibly can. And as I said before, stagger pre-K, stagger kindergarten, and maybe even stagger kindergarten into what I'll call like 2 classes. In order to best utilize this Green Avenue Loop, I think we need to do what the Roosevelt School did at Summit, where we create Wayne Avenue as a one-way street in a temporary condition. Just during the drop-off and pickup time, we create a temporary one-way, John, if you would, from Bogert, left side of your screen, down the hill to Kinderkamack. So one way in that direction. Also, there's recommendations to prohibit turns, meaning if you come out of the Green Avenue Loop, you finish dropping your child off, you can only turn right onto Wayne Avenue. And then as Wayne Avenue gets down to Kinderkamack, you would only be able to turn right onto Kinderkamack. If we allow all the movements to happen, meaning all the lefts out, the lefts in, we don't have it as one way, we're going to create a gridlock type situation down here, which none of us want, and it doesn't help our efficiency in maximizing that loop. So those are the kind of things that we need to think about as we try to maximize that drop off. The next is to increase what I'll call the usable curb frontage. Curb frontage is, an example is right out front of the school this year, you have a nice wide curb, comes right to the, a nice wide sidewalk. It comes right to the curb for the road, and that's where all of the drop-off and pickup activity is happening in front of the school. About a year ago, the sidewalk was extended to then add that nice double sidewalk in front of the park that's just to the south of the school. So we need to continually look for places to encourage drop-off activity, encourage pickup activity. And in order to encourage those activities, we need to improve the facilities, improve the sidewalks, improve the connection. So the 2 places I think we should consider adding either wider sidewalk, additional sidewalk, etc., is first is in the northbound direction along Bogert between the staff parking lot and Wayne. And John, if you could highlight that, that's right alongside the ball field. I think it would benefit to not have the grass strip there. I understand we have a tree or 2 there, tree pits can be created to keep the tree where it is, but provide sidewalk and an extended wide sidewalk where we can. Hopefully, this recommendation can be coupled with moving the staff off of that curb space. As you can see in my aerial, there's cars parked along that curb. On a school day, that curb line is packed with staff. So the combination of emptying the staff, getting them on site, and creating a space for parents to drop off, pick up, that's weather protected, meaning it's all concrete sidewalks, there's no mud. Those are the kind of things that enhance and encourage people to drop off in some different spots. So that's the northbound direction. We think we can add about 250 feet right there, which is a good amount of cars. It's another 10 to 15 cars that can be staged right there. Similarly, in the southbound direction, directly opposite the school, we think there's an opportunity to improve that sidewalk in front of those 2 properties. Thank you, John. Because what's happening now is we're going to be encouraging families that live in the northern part of town to come down and use Cherry Hill School for their children. So we want to allow them to drop off in the southbound direction. As you know, we have a very good crossing right in front of the school. So by encouraging that drop off there, we can utilize that southbound space. If you recall, what parents do now is they come around, they're coming around on the left side of the image, off the image. They come south, and then they come down Howland, which is the very bottom of the page. And they're trying to make a left turn from Howland up onto Bogert. And that intersection at the bottom left corner of the page, Howland and Bogert, just gets so jammed up with vehicle traffic, pedestrian traffic, everything. This southbound sidewalk will try to help to alleviate some of that by allowing people to drop off in the southbound direction instead of forcing everyone to come around and drop off in the northbound direction. The next one, I mentioned it briefly. John, you can zoom in on the Bogert Road crossing, the crossing that's right in front of the school. There was some debate about this crossing between the police department and Mr. Klein in where would the best place to have that crossing located. Mr. Klein suggested that it should be located south, at the south edge of the property, so it would be behind the drop-off activity. The police like it where it is because it's aligned with the door, the main door. I don't necessarily disagree with either of those thoughts. However, I came up with a compromise that I think we should consider, and it's to locate the crosswalk a little bit further north. So you would locate it right in front of that red truck, right there at the second sidewalk that goes to the school, and basically just south of the staff parking lot. It would tie into maybe an improved sidewalk that we just discussed on the south side of Bogert, and it'll increase the usability in front of the school by basically eliminating what's now about 100 foot of unusable space. John, if you could, that little white car that's parked on the street, right now you can't park or drop off in that whole area between the little white car and the front of the red truck. That whole area is taken out of service just to improve the sight lines and the visibility of the crosswalk. Well, we think if you move the crosswalk up towards that intersection with the staff parking lot, it is still aligned with the front of the building. We could install a curb bump out, and I'll show you what bump outs are later, but it's basically a little bit of a curb extension so that the pedestrians are very visible, and then we can have the one crossing guard and maybe even add a second crossing guard at this, what I would call, very critical crossing spot in front of the school. So that's a compromise between the two differing opinions on where that crosswalk should be. Then the last one for Cherry Hill is to continue the pedestrian crossing prohibition at the intersection, one to the north of Cherry Hill and one to the south. So at Wayne and at Howland, if you've been out there this year, you'll see that the crossing guards do not allow people to cross Bogert. You can only cross these intersections in the north and south direction. What that does is it minimizes the pedestrian vehicle conflict, and it ensures that these intersections stay manageable for the crossing guards. So that prohibition is fantastic. It works very well from what I've observed, and that type of prohibition should be maintained. And you'll see a recommendation at the Roosevelt School where I think we should implement that. So those are the basic improvements and suggestions for Cherry Hill School in order to accommodate the younger children. As you saw, they all are geared towards improvements right around and right in front of the school, as well as staggering and trying to reutilize the curb space one or two times at least during a drop-off or during an arrival, dismissal pickup activity. So that was the bulk of those improvements. John, if you would, we're going to jump up to Roosevelt School. So the evaluation here identified that the school reconfiguration could have a positive impact on the traffic conditions at Roosevelt School. We have significant frontage at this school. We have multiple streets that have frontage, and I think they can be maximized so that the older students that are in this school, remember 4, 5, and 6, those students are a little bit more independent and can be dropped off a little bit further from the school on their frontages. And I think we could see an improvement to the traffic situation at Roosevelt during a reconfiguration. You'll see that the recommendations for this school focus on maximizing the use of the current space and pedestrian safety improvements. What I've seen is at both schools, I noticed a trend of older students kind of walking in packs to or from their homes. I think that trend is going to continue significantly at Roosevelt School because all of the children in this school will be of age to walk home or to walk home in groups. So I think we're going to see a lot of, you'll see pedestrian safety improvements here and enhancements to use the outer edges, if you will, of the frontages of the school. So the first improvement or recommendation is a school district jurisdiction. And again, it's to increase the staff parking. The staff parking at Roosevelt School is essentially a tiny little parking lot to the south between the school and Continental. It definitely was piecemealed, put together as property came available. But it's not very efficient and it's not very big. So if there's an opportunity to potentially improve the parking, whether it be there or somewhere else on the school property, again, that would help. Because what I saw here was it had to be at least 50 staff members parking on the street surrounding the school. The entire length of Summit was lined with staff, as were the top up by, I think it's Elm up there, and down Continental, down off the bottom of the page. Basically, the first block in every direction where parking was allowed was utilized by staff. And as I said before, while that's fine, it's allowed to park on those streets. What it's doing is it's pushing our parents further away, and particularly for the pickup in the afternoon, it's pushing those parents further away, and we're not utilizing our frontage efficiently. And speaking of utilizing, the second one is to just maximize the frontages. I noticed a weird trend when I observed the school. In the morning here, everyone was dropped off, and I say everyone, but the far majority of students were dropped off on Summit at the front of the school. The far majority, had to be 98%. In the afternoon, hardly anybody used Summit, and everyone used Continental and Oak. So it was interesting to me, and it's got to do with doors that are open and security measures in the school, and I do understand that. But we have three fantastic frontages for this school: Roosevelt, Continental, and Oak. And just the recommendations are to focus on maximizing each of them during both the morning and the afternoon. We need to spread our parents out and just maximize so that we can alleviate pressure on any one street frontage. And as I said, the students here are a little bit older, 4th through 6th. So, having them walk to Oak Avenue is not a big deal at all. That's my next recommendation, is that Oak Avenue should be utilized to its fullest. It's called the North Entrance. It's a fantastic connectivity to the school. There was a nice sidewalk installed, but it's relatively short. So I think that we could look at extending that sidewalk, having some staff members out at that edge of the North Entrance walk, and just really incentivize parents to utilize the Oak Avenue frontage. Doing that will just take the pressure off of Summit, take the pressure off of Continental. Along with that incentivizing, I think we could create a one-way northbound on Oak Avenue, similar to how we create a one-way southbound on Summit. It sets up very simple. The crossing guards put up a temporary sign, and everyone knows, the residents of the street know that it's one way, just during the peak 15, 20 minutes or what have you. But that would again just help to incentivize and clean up and maximize that frontage. Continental Avenue is a tremendous focus of safety and access for Roosevelt School. There's a significant level of vehicular and pedestrian activity that walks along Continental, walks across Continental. So we have recommendations at 2 intersections. The first, obviously, being Continental and Bogert, which is right at the base of the school. We're recommending here curb bump out. And John, do we have the curb bump out image? Right. So I mentioned it earlier, but this is just a graphic of what a curb bump out could be. This is not Continental. This is a Google screenshot, admittedly. But this is what a bump out is, where it basically.
So John, just to
Yeah.
interrupt you for a second, we have a curb bump out in town on Continental at the main park. So our residents and the council does know what that's like, just to
Fantastic.
save you from unnecessary explanation.
Very good. Okay, so this is exactly that. It shortens the pedestrian crossing and it makes the visibility for both the driver and the pedestrian. It improves the visibility significantly. So not only are we suggesting curb bump outs at Bogert, we're suggesting what we call RRFBs, rectangular rapid flashing beacons, and you guys know what these are as well. So we're recommending the combination treatment at the intersection of Continental and Bogert. And then just we'll go down the street to Continental and Elm, which is where you already have pedestrian safety treatments. We suggest considering all-way stop control at the intersection of Continental and Elm. As you mentioned, Mayor, the park is right there. There's not only park activity, but there's also school activity that finds its way across Continental. So we think Continental and Elm is an intersection that should be evaluated for all-way stop control. And then we think a crossing guard should be placed if possible. John, if you could go back to the school aerial at the intersection of Bogert and Penny. I apologize, it is just off of this aerial, but that's the area of influence. The area of influence for the school is actually off of this picture. So that Penny is the first intersection off of this, and because of the staff and the parents and the increased activity coming from the south, we think people are going to utilize Bogert and utilize Penny and walk their way to school. So we think that Penny should get not only a crossing guard, but all of the things that are implemented down at Cherry Hill School, like the no crossing, and all those crossing guard activities should happen at Bogert and Penny. Everything similar to that Wayne, what they do at Wayne down to Cherry Hill School. And lastly, we're wrapping up with a few basically general recommendations. Essentially, Bogert Road, as we all know, the two schools are separated by a mile, right? It's a straight shot. You can see Cherry Hill at the bottom of this image, and Continental Roosevelt just to the north. It all fits on this image. There's only about 10 blocks in between. It's a free-flowing corridor, meaning there's no stops. Nothing to stop you from speeding, going up and down Bogert Road. We know parents are going to be using Bogert Road up and down, getting between the schools to one, to the other, or doing both in the same morning. So we anticipate a significant increase in activity along the street. There's probably 10 to a dozen cross streets. We think they should all have improved ADA ramping, crosswalk improvements, and signing and striping improvements, which I think, Mayor, as you indicated to me, I think a lot of those things are already in the works from
Yes.
from a DOT, local aid projects, et cetera. So those kind of pedestrian safety improvements are critical and could be more critical with the increased level on Bogert. In addition to those head safety striping type improvements, we think the borough should consider evaluating two roads for all-way stops. It would just control traffic and provide some level of traffic calming along Bogert Road. And forgive me, I will call it Voorhees Avenue and Monroe Avenue. So basically those two intersections are not only some of the more significant intersections as far as traffic on all four approaches, because they connect Kinder to Mac and they come into town, but they're spaced nice. They're spaced very evenly between Cherry Hill and Howland Avenue and Continental and Roosevelt. It would break up Bogert corridor into a couple of just nice segments that I think would provide a nice level of traffic calming and get everyone on the same page as the traffic and activity, both vehicular and pedestrian, increases along Bogert. And then the last one is kind of a fun recommendation that the police and the school might have considered, might have heard of, or if not, I'll introduce it. And this is instituting a bike bus. And you can look this up. They're starting to become more prevalent in New Jersey. Basically, what it is it's a group of parents or school staff or a police officer that leads a group of students along the bus route, right? What it does is it goes along, let's just say Bogert, let's just say Elm, let's say Fifth, excellent north-south candidates that have cross streets that come into them, and this bike bus can pick up students along the way. It does a lot of things, right? It's fun. The kids get into it. Parents get into it. It reduces the number of parent vehicles that drop off and pick up at school. The kids get some exercise. I mean, you know, when you look it up, it's really a feel-good story. It's usually done in towns once or twice a year, but now the more progressive towns are trying to implement these types of things 5 days a week. So we think Bogert, Elm, Fifth Avenue, all exiting candidates. They're wide, they're straight, they're flat, they're less than a mile long, and all the streets that come into them are stop controlled. So we think this little progression of a bike bus would be fantastic thing to try between these two schools. So really that's the summation. There's a lot more detail in the report, but those are generally the high level recommendations. Again, it was an independent review, right, of the traffic safety aspects. We looked at everything. We looked at our observations. We looked at all the analysis findings, recommendations within the police reports, the Klein reports, and tried to make sense of everything and present it as one comprehensive third party review. So with that, I want to thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing us to be part of this, and we're happy to assist as necessary as this moves forward.
Excellent, John. Really great report, very concise, very clear. Thank you also, John Pesci, is it?
John Pesh? Yep.
For doing the work as project manager and as presenter. So John, if you don't mind, I'm going to open to the council for questions and comments. Any member of council, just raise your hand quickly and you'll be recognized. Any member of the council would like to ask a question or comment? All right, now the council has had the report for a while and your presentation was very thorough. I don't think so. So with the council's approval, what we're going to do is we're going to send this to traffic and safety. We're going to send it to the chief. We're going to send it to the BOE, and we're going to ask them to send back comment. And we're also going to recommend to all three bodies and that they watch this outstanding presentation, which will be on the River Edge Borough website, RE Borough, I believe that's what it's called. And it will also be on the mayor's page, so that they can hear the presentation, because I think the presentation really brought the report to life. And John, they may be reaching out to you for some comment. I ask that your response include myself as mayor, Ms. Councilwoman Monsanto Carlin as council president, the clerk, and the business administrator, so that all correspondence is CC'd to the leadership of the council, because it's our job to make sure that whatever it gets implemented, and we're hoping we can implement most, if not all, of your recommendations, that there is a record of it, and that there is a continuity of understanding. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Any member of council wish to at this point ask John anything before we let him go? Mr. McCormick, rather. Mr. McCormick, great presentation. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you for having me. Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
We will. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
All right. Well, I think that was very informative. Could I have a member of council to open to the public on any item on the agenda, including the presentation we just witnessed?
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we have some people who are attendees. We do not have anyone physically present, but Councilwoman Kaufman, if you would.
So if anyone has a question or comment, just raise your hand and I'll allow you to speak. Amongst the remote viewers.
Oh, and could you also make sure that two copies go to the BOE? One to the superintendent and one to the president of the board. So that they get both get a copy.
I do not see any raised hands.
All right, could I have a motion to close to the public?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, so we have mayor's appointments. And this is read into the record, but just for the sake of continuity, I'd ask for the council just to move it, second it, and to approve it, though it's not required to be approved, but I think it shows a good level of unity. Okay, mayor's appointment, the mayor, I appoint Dario Canigo as a class 4-1 to fill the unexpired 4-year terms of Jim Eric Alien through December 31st, 2025 to the land use board effective January 11th, 2024.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed or abstentions? Great. So we thank James for, I think, 27 years, something like that, very close, if not more. And we will be recognizing his service to the borough at a future meeting. And when, do you know when that might be? At the February 15th meeting, okay? Okay, Dario is a little bit under the weather, so I'll swear him in at the land use board on Wednesday, because there's a first land use board on Wednesday. Okay. Could I have a member of the council move in second as soon as I read into the record appointments and personnel changes? Approve the reappointment of Kathy Privatera, I hope that's close, for a 2-year term through December 31st, 2025 to the Cultural Affairs Advisory Committee effective January 22nd, 2024. Approve the appointment of Councilman Barry Benson to the River Edge Alliance Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse as senior citizen representative for 1-year term through December 31st, 2024. Approve the appointment of Councilman Barry Benson as liaison to the River Edge Volunteer Ambulance Service, REVOS, effective January 1st, 2024. Approve the appointment of Matthew Panchi as a volunteer deputy emergency management manager effective 2022-2024. Could I have a motion in a second?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, is any of the people other than Councilman Benson present as an attendee?
Thank you, is.
Matthew, please move Matthew to a what is it called, panelist. And Councilman Benson, if you could step out and over, that would be great. Matt, are you there? Can you turn on your camera and turn on your mic if possible? He's already a panelist.
Okay, I think he's just a speaker though.
If you're just a speaker, that's fine. If you could unmute yourself, Matt.
There we go. How's that?
Awesome, awesome. Are you capable of camera?
Yes. Give me 1 second. I was not ready to show myself tonight. I'm sorry about that.
If you don't want to,
That's okay.
we'll let it go. Then
Don't worry about it.
Oh, you look handsome. What are you talking about? All right, we're gonna read to you your oath of office. You'll need to come in and sign it to the clerk. Here we go. Okay, and I'll prompt you both as needed, okay?
Yep.
Okay, please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Matthew Banshee,
Do solemnly swear
Do
do
solemnly
solemnly
swear
swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I
and that I
will bear true faith and allegiance
will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
to the same
and to the government
and to the government
established in the United States
established
in the United States
and in this state
and in the state
and in this state
and in this state,
Oh, you did, okay, I'm sorry. Under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
People.
I state your name,
I, Matthew Panchis,
Jason,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties.
perform all the duties.
duties
Now, Matthew, you're going to say as Emergency Management Coordinator, and Barry, you're going to say Municipal Alliance Against Alcohol and Drugs.
Okay.
Okay?
Mhm.
And so, as, and state your title.
As Emergency
As-
Management Coordinator,
let's see, I'm sorry, senior citizen representative
On the Municipal, Alliance Against Drug and Alcohol.
on the River Edge Alliance Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse.
And that you'll say of the Office of Emergency Management,
of the Office of Emergency Management,
to the best of my ability,
To the
to
best
the
of my
best of my
ability.
ability,
so help me God.
so help
So
me God.
help me God.
Great, great. Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Matt, we really appreciate you reaching out to our coordinator, Bill Sanders, former fire chief, who is our emergency management coordinator. And can't thank you enough for the service you're offering for the town. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys for giving me the opportunity.
Okay, so let me just sign this. Oh, yeah? No, he doesn't. He doesn't have to for that. Only for these. Okay, you can have, Barry, if you can sign and date that and send it back. No, hold on to this for the moment. Okay. And I'll give you these two. And, great. All right, here we go. Oh, did I read into the record, approve, and appoint Matthew? Just in case I did.
You did.
Approve the appointment, I did?
You did. Yeah.
Okay, good, I will never say that. I might have left D out, but I did say that, right? Great. Okay, there are monthly reports available to the public, fire prevention, library board of trustees, tax collector, land use board for December and for everyone except for the library, which is only January. We have a first reading. Could I have a member of council move and second? When I finish reading this into the record, motion that the following ordinance be introduced and passed on first reading and setting February 15, 2024 at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter can be heard as the date and time and both the River Edge Library as the place and Zoom as the virtual platform for hearing on said ordinance 24-02, an ordinance to amend chapter 33 of the revised general ordinance of the Borough of River Edge entitled Fire Department there'll be two changes to this ordinance. So as I'm stating, you're going to say as amended when you move it. You're going to say move as amended. And the two changes are going to be the maximum limit for 60,000 would be 80,000 reimbursement of expenses, including clothing. And the second would be section A2 of 33-11, moving the disbursement from January 15th to January 31st. Madam Clerk, did I get those correct? Could I have a motion as revised,
So moved.
As amended.
as amended rather?
Second.
So, Councilman Glass moved it and we have a second from Councilwoman Kaufman. Okay. All right. Before we, this is not open to the public. It is not really open for debate either, but is there any debate or comment or question? Hearing none, all in, do we need to do a roll call for this one? No. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. So a second reading, hearing on ordinances. The following ordinance published here within was first read by title on January 5th, 2024 and posted on bulletin board outside the clerk's office, ordinance 24-1. An ordinance to fix salaries, wages, and compensation of the officers and employees of the Borough of River Edge in the county of Bergen and state of New Jersey for the year 2024. Could I have a motion and second to open to the public?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Now, this ordinance, before we open to the public, simply sets the ranges of the salary, okay? And we're required to do this by law every year. So any member of public, council,
Raise your hand and I'll let you speak if there is anyone who would like to from the remote attendees.
you have a question or a comment, you can make that now. There's no one present in chambers from the public.
I don't see any questions or comments.
All right, so could I have a motion and a second to close to the public on ordinance 24-1, second reading?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, this is a roll call vote. Could I have a motion and second for adoption of 24-1?
So moved.
Second.
This is open to debate. Is there debate? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Captain,
Yes.
Council President Monticello,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinsella,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mallory.
Yes.
Councilman Benson,
Yes.
Councilman Grant.
Yes.
Okay, could I have a motion and second from any member of council to approve resolutions 24-60 through 24-76?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any member of council who wishes to ask a question? Comment? Debate? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? There are none. Could I have our finance chair, Councilwoman Kaufman, and move payments of bill after it's read into the record by herself, and some member from the finance committee to second it?
Payment of bills at a regular meeting of the mayor and council of the Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, held on January 22nd, 2024. Be it resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of River Edge approve the following expenditures. Current fund, $2,297,021.59. General capital fund, $13,818.97. Grant fund, $961.88. Payroll fund, $670.32. Unemployment trust, $31,126.32. Recreation trust, $60.58. So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Okay, now we have new business. There is a business item placed on the agenda. Who placed this on the agenda?
Mayor, I actually brought it up to our BA, Mr. Caparella, at our Sendai meeting.
Okay, so this is new business item, purchase of Chromebooks for mayor and council. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Kinsella.
Yes, I just brought it up because I believe that our former council member, Councilman Kanigo at the time had said that would be a good idea for us to possibly borrow Chromebooks, and it would just pass on to the next council member as their term expires. And Ms. Caparella told me that at the time when we had the discussion that the Chromebooks were probably less than $300, but they would not be able to facilitate what we are actually doing on our iPads and computers right now. And so she said we'd have to purchase like Dell laptops, and that would cost way more. So I said, well, then it kind of like, she said, put it on the agenda, but now that it's more expensive to purchase it, I don't think it's kind of a moot point at this stage. So, but she still had it on just for discussion purposes.
I know as a public school teacher that every student in the school got Chromebooks and they were not very effective because they didn't have enough processing speed. That the Chromebooks now have a higher processing speed and have many of, if not all of the attributes of the laptops, but also their prices are equivalent. So I don't know if the council wishes to explore this or not. What is the will of the council?
I mean, I would say everyone can just bring their own as a bunch did tonight. I think we're good.
Yeah.
All right, then,
Yes.
real good.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, great. Okay, is there any other new business? Any member of council wish to bring something up for discussion that has not been placed on the agenda. Seeing none, is there any old business? Is there any member of council who wishes to raise an issue that is ongoing or from the past? Seeing none, could I have a motion from one member of council and a second from another to open to the public on any issue the public wishes to comment on?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Councilwoman Kaufman.
So again, if anyone has a question, just raise your hand and I will allow you to speak or comment. Does not look like we've got any raised hand.
Could I have a motion and second to close to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, excuse me, does any member of council wish to make a comment? Councilwoman Mallory.
I just want to remind the public that the Environmental Protection Committee has a styrofoam collection on Saturday, February 3rd, from 9 to 11 a.m. in the parking lot on Continental Avenue.
Excellent.
And I think we should also just mention February 5th at 7 p.m. here, we're gonna be doing a town hall to discuss the possibility of having one cannabis retailer on the west side of Route 4.
I'd like to add to that. Right now, the Borough of River Edge, through this council, has made it illegal for all businesses cannabis related to being in the borough. And we did this when the state changed its constitution, I think it was constitution, wasn't it, Mr. Shahan? So they changed the constitution and they gave every council the opportunity to allow for licenses or not. And because the regulations had not been released and because there did not seem to be a groundswell and because there did not seem to be a business of interest, we made by law, by ordinance, the entire town closed to cannabis. Since then, we've been approached by two different cannabis retailers. One is ready to move forward and they're asking for us to allow the public to just weigh in on whether this would be something that we'd want to do. This would be something that we can, I think, tax up to 2%. So this would be a revenue source in a town that is landlocked and has really no opportunity for additional commercial businesses and therefore additional tax revenue. But this is something that we're simply asking the public, should we pursue this idea? There will be no formal action taken, none. We are simply asking two questions. One, whether we should consider changing our current law to allow for one type of license and one license within that type, and that would be for a retail business. And two, if so, the only location we are considering is the old Liberty Travel Agency building, which is on the opposite side of Route 4, surrounded by Hackensack on three sides and separated from River Edge proper by Route 4. And there are no River Edge homes adjacent to any of these properties, to this property. So we strongly invite the public, to attend either in person or remotely, or to send in a letter that would be read by the clerk into the record, stating your position either for or against us considering this idea for the February 5th meeting at 7 p.m. here at the library in River Edge. That was accurate, right?
The overlay zone is a little bit larger than that and we'll show it that night.
That's right, but we're only looking to approve one location
Yes,
within that overlay zone.
yes.
Very good. All right, anything else? Very good. All right, any other comments from council? All right. We are going to go into closed session and we are not going to be coming out making any decisions. So we're going to be closing this meeting once we move to go into closed session, and we will not be reopening to the public. Okay, so closed session. Could I have a motion and second from one member of council to go into closed session, resolution 24-78, resolution to go into closed session and exclude the public, attorney-client privilege, NJSA 10:4-12B8, social media communications.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Could I have a motion and second to adjourn the public meeting without any attempt to reopen it today?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. We thank the public for attending. We are now closed to the public.
Good night.
Good night.